Are you ready for the Low Blows Network? Finally,
they finally gave me my own podcast.
Gerry comes to the Low Blows Network. One of the biggest legends of the Irish wrestling scene, Gerry talks to his wrestling friends and beyond about the hobbies in their lives that they're most nerdy about in Talk Nerdy to Me.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Talk Nerdy to Me with your host, Gerry. But as you can hear, we don't have the sultry voice of my co-host and producer, Mr. Dave Van Dana, the man with the blanket of a beard. That's because he's not with me this week. This week, Gerry went on location. I went to a con, and if you don't know what a con this week is, that's short for Comic-Con. And of course, if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to know what a Comic-Con is. But for those who actually don't, for the one or two people out there that don't know, it's a Comic-Con. And this weekend I visited Ireland Comic-Con, or Comic-Con Ireland, I should say. That's the correct pronunciation, in the RDS. I went for the 2 days, and I have to say I enjoyed myself. And it was a different type of Comic-Con that I'm used to. I'm used to things that are very, very busy, and you've got people pushing into you and the great unwashed, as we say at these Comic-Cons, because it tends to be lots of people not washing themselves before they go, which is a bit strange. But me and my son went on the first day, and we had a very good time. I have to say, very, very child-orientated this time around. They had bouncy castles and things to keep kids entertained, like a little scooter area where you can jump on and jump off. Actually bumped into a contributor to the show, Mr. Rob Elliott, that we had on to talk about Batman there a little while ago, and he was there with his family and thoroughly enjoyed themselves while they were there. And there was another area as well for kids and for adults, whichever you're into. It was a Robot Wars area, and they had like a little octagon. You could control the various robots that were there. So really, really good for kids. And the one thing that my son absolutely loved more than anything else is currently he is a bit of a fanatic when it comes to Jurassic Park. And I didn't tell him what was there, but as soon as you walk in the main door of the hall, there was a life-size version of the T-Rex from Jurassic Park with its mouth wide open. And of course, when he seen it, he went absolutely crazy. And I'm not talking about crazy where he nearly shit his pants. I'm talking about crazy like, oh my God, I want to jump into the mouth. So, he enjoyed himself, and I loved the fact that he enjoyed it. And for those of you who've never been to a Comic-Con before, there was various different things that you could do. There was a computer games area, there was a comic book sellers area. There you could speak to various comic book artists, both Irish and from abroad. There was various guests that were there, so American and English guests. Some people from Star Trek, some people from Gotham, and various other shows were there as well. So all around, nice little con. It's been going on for a number of years now. It has kind of gotten a bit smaller from when it began. So it's kind of gone to a bit of a smaller con, but nonetheless very enjoyable. And I got to speak to a couple of people there that I know very well, and I talked to them about their nerdy ways. The very first one that you're going to listen to now is me talking to the good people from Rogue Comics, and you'll hear about how they got started and basically what they do. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking with the people here at Rogue Comics. How are you guys today?
Yeah, good. We're enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, we're having the crack.
I suppose I should introduce you, Wayne and Gillian from Rogue Comics. How's the con been today for both of you?
Today, it's been a little quieter than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Lots of people browsing. But guys, we've sold some prints, we've sold some books.
We're down to the last ever issue of the collector's edition of The Broker. That's it. Once that issue goes, that's it. No more. Done.
Finito.
So tell us a little bit about Rogue Comics. How did that come about?
Rogue Comics started in 2017. We kind of built it as a platform to kind of give people a place to find out how to publish and make their own comic books and put them out in the world. Anyone that has a kind of a passion to either be an artist in a comic book, a writer, a letterer, editor, anything, colorist, we show you how we do what we've learned and how we put our skills to good use and show you how to get a book to print.
Yeah.
So it all started about you had a passion for comics, you liked comics yourselves, and that's how it began for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
We kind of wanted to have... We had books and stories we wanted to tell, so we put a label together. We got our books made. We had contacts within the scene that we knew, printers and stuff like that, so we were able to go to them and say, look, we have these books, I want to print them in certain high-level quality that are on par with the big labels that you see. Like, you could sit a road comic book next to an image book, and like the quality is there, you know. And everyone that's involved in Rogue, they strive to the highest quality, be it writing, artwork, colour, letters, storytelling, across the board.
So how many comic books that you have for sale? How many have you done now at this point?
Many titles in total. We have, I think we're close to, we're borderlining on 15 to 16 titles.
Yeah, because we've a lot that have come and finished up now as well. Yeah. So like The Broker, as Wayne mentioned, we're down to our last few copies. Same with The Guards 1 and 2, and then we've Neon Skies, obviously we're still promoting that. Columns got Ocean City, volumes 1 to 4, and then there's 2 more volumes of that to come next year, so we can complete that arc. The boys also have some books in progress at the moment at various stages, so some of those are getting released this summer, later on in the autumn, and then we're making plans for next year as well. And we're always taking submissions and stuff too.
Constantly, yeah. We have an email address, roguecomicsIreland@gmail.com, and people, if they have anything they want to submit, have us look over, critique, give our opinion on, show them where they need to go to get a book made or done. That's contact us through that email address. The books that we have coming down the line for, say, in August, we have Tales from Eternal Worlds, which is by Irish artist Oisin Roach, lettered by myself and edited by Jill. Then we have also Kev has a new book coming out that he's currently working on, trying to get into the final stages of print.
I'm editing.
Jill is editing that book. Then myself, Kev and Jill are working on Nosferatu, which is a World War II vampire story, and that's going to be released at Top Bubble in November. And that's kind of like Kev is inking that at the moment. I'm going to be colouring it. Kev's going to letter it, and then it'll go to print.
And that's a hefty one as well. Like that's 72 pages.
72 pages.
So it's not
a lot of work coming down the line from you guys. So if people want to buy your stuff and they can't make it to a Comic-Con, where do they go?
Well, we have a website. So Rogue Comics Ireland, and you can go on. All our titles are there. You can buy them online and we'll post them out to you. So if you can't get to a con to see us, that's all you need to do. And that information is on our Facebook page, our Instagram, our Twitter. Yeah. We're all over social media, like dip on a chip. So yeah, catch us there.
Just search for Rogue Comics Ireland, you'll find us. And like we ship worldwide as well at no extra cost. So if you're listening to this podcast or interview in America or in Australia, and you want to buy anything we're interested in or we'll happily ship it to you at no extra cost to you. So that's the worldwide shipping.
Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much.
Cheers, Gerry.
And there you have it. That was Wayne and Gillian from Rogue Comics. And if you are that way inclined, you want to buy some comics from Rogue Comics, remember they're Irish comic book artists. They're not the big wigs from Marvel, but they are definitely getting there, and their stuff is fantastic. So please visit their Facebook page and the Twitter page and go onto their website as well. The next interview I have for you is by a man by the name of Gerry O'Toole. And Gerry talks to me about all his love and admiration that he has for Star Wars and the various things that come with that. He talks about the 501st Legion that he is a member of, and I'm a member of as well. And he goes on to talk about how they go and help charity, and that's their main aim. But don't take my word for it, take Gary's word for it. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a man here that I've known for a couple of years now. He's an absolute fanatic about the thing that he loves. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Mr. Gerry O'Toole. Gerry, how are you?
Hello, Gerry. How are you?
Not too bad. How's things? How are you getting on today?
Well, the shoe's really on the other foot now, isn't it?
It really is. Normally you would be, interviewing people, but now it's me interviewing you, which is a strange one.
It's a new one.
It's a new one, yeah, absolutely. I've not been doing the podcast for very long. It's only about 6 months old now at this stage, but we're loving it, we're enjoying it, and I hope people are listening and enjoying it yourself. So, Gerry, tell us a little bit about what you love and what is it the thing that you love more than anything in the world?
My love is Star Wars.
Yeah.
It has always been Star Wars, and it will always be Star Wars. Well, I suppose I kind of have to throw Doctor Strange in there as well, don't I? Just not to be unbiased. But no, Star Wars has always been my thing ever since I was young. I was a prequel-era child, so the prequels was essentially what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And then my evolution through Star Wars was to learn from the prequels and then fell in love with the originals.
Yeah.
And obviously now, for me, the originals are my be-all and end-all. But the prequels will always still have a special place for me because they're what I grew up on.
Yeah. See, a lot of people now, you got the old schoolers that would be, it's originals or nothing, you know what I mean? And then the prequels get a lot of hate. What do you think about people who don't particularly like the prequels? Because I'm one of the people that do like them. I have to say I do.
Well, I mean, I think if we look at it now with respect to the new trilogy coming out, it has its lovers and its haters. And the prequels were much the same. When the prequels originally came out, they were slated. It was only over time that people really developed a deep love and, I suppose, an understanding for the necessity to tell that story. Now, some people would have been happy with just the original trilogy and to leave it as is. But I suppose those of us who are always wanting more always want a backstory and an understanding of how things developed and, more importantly, why they developed in that way. So I think if we were to look at it from that way, those who grew up with the original trilogy, you don't have to like the prequels. That's the beauty of Star Wars. Everybody has their own niche area that they are into. Some people love the films. Some people just like the comic books. Maybe it's the TV series. No one has to fall into one specific bracket within this fandom. And I think that's the beauty of it. If they don't like the prequels, then that's okay. You don't have to.
Yeah.
If you consider the original trilogy as your Star Wars, when all that matters is your Star Wars and what it means to you. And I think that's one of the best things about our fandom, that it transcends the masses in that respect.
That's a fantastic way of thinking about it, because when you look at you've got the originals, the prequels, and now the sequels. The prequels and the sequels got a lot of hate, and I think none more so than The Last Jedi. It's got a lot of hate, unfortunately. And so many people have said, it's ruined Star Wars. I don't get how that works. How does one film ruin the other films for you? Because you can just watch the originals and never watch anything else, and you'd still be happy. So what do you say to the people that, there's so much hate, and I mean there's a lot of it out there. There's so much hate. What would you say? Just get over it and watch the originals, or give it a chance?
Well, as somebody who was a fan of The Last Jedi, now, I say, even though I'm a fan of the Jedi, that doesn't mean I don't have issues with it. The reason I liked it was that it was different, it was something new, and it was something that goes in a different direction. But the way I tend to look at it is, and I try to stay out of the politics of it as much as possible. With respect to Star Wars, we do not own Star Wars. We are merely its current custodians. The original generation had theirs. The prequel generation had theirs. This new generation deserves to grow up with their own heroes, their own characters, their own idols, their own way of looking at the Force and everything it involves. We are merely its custodians, so they should be allowed to grow up with this generation, and then, maybe like what we had done, learn from the originals and then fall in love with the prequels.
I have to say, no, I would agree with you. I do like The Last Jedi. It has issues, absolutely, 100%, and I don't think anyone would disagree with you there. I think the makers would even say, yeah, it has issues. But I did enjoy it, and me and my family went to see it, and we all enjoyed it. So, it especially for a younger generation, they tend to like it a lot more than, say, the old school people. The old school people, in my opinion, they have to just move on. If you don't like it, you don't watch it. It's as simple as that. So we've got not only the prequels, the originals, and the sequels, but now you've got the standalone movies as well. So what did you think of the likes of Rogue One and Solo?
Rogue One, to me, was sensational. Rogue One, Gareth Edwards did such an amazing job, and I believe there was a lot of pressure on him, more so than anyone else, to become the first person to step into the directorial role of the first standalone Star Wars movie. Considering what had come before, that was enormous pressure. But I don't think people truly understand the little intricacies that had to be researched and observed. Even something as simple as the little minute details. If we look at, let's say, director Krennic, and if we were to look at the original trilogy, when we see the empty seat in the room, that empty chair in the officers' room when Tarkin, Vader, and the rest of the admirals and the command staff met, that empty chair was supposed to be for Orson Krennic.
Well, see, that's
It's
the type
all
of detail.
those minute little details that people do not check out.
I think for me, when you look at Rogue One, I think for me it was the closest to the originals that we've ever gotten. The feel of it, the look of it, even Vader and then him being on the ship, everything just kind of slotted into place for me. And I think for me, if you're rating Star Wars movies, it has to be up there with the originals for being one of the best.
Oh, I think Rogue One is absolutely sensational. I love every aspect of Rogue One, but what made Rogue One for me, and I know I'm heavily biased regards what I told you, what I did during the week, but for me, the score and the composition of Rogue One was absolutely outstanding. Michael Giacchino, to step into that role, to be the first composer to take on a Star Wars movie since John Williams, that takes a lot of guts. And a little tidbit for you if you didn't know, Giacchino wasn't originally supposed to do that score. And then, for whatever reason happened, there was a little bit of follow, and Michael Giacchino then took on that score. And if you didn't know, Michael Giacchino put that entire score together for Rogue One. That beautiful composition throughout the entire movie was put together in 4.5 weeks.
4.5 weeks?
4.5 weeks Michael Giacchino put that score together in. And the end result was nothing short of sensational.
Like, you look at any other film, and you know, the score would be months, if not years in the making. This was 4.5 weeks.
He had
that was sensational work.
He had 4.5 weeks to put it all together, and then the recording took place. But 4.5 weeks to put everything together to be ready to go.
Well, that just goes to show you how good of a composer he actually is.
Well, I mean,
for him to be able to do that.
An Oscar winner, you know, a musician of that caliber. And I mean, what he's done, you know, since then, he's looking after the Spider-Man movies, and ever since his little tour in Dublin, it looks like he's been trolling a little bit. He has posted a couple of Instagram pictures of Batman around Dublin. Oh. So there is the rumour of the Matt Reeves Batman movie, so there are people speculating that he may have been asked to...
Well, that's just going to absolutely take that film to another level, because for me, when you get a, you know, you can have a really good movie, but unless it has a really good score, it does let it down. I'm going to go to the Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. Unless it has exceptionally good music, it's not going to be as good a movie. Like even to say like Game of Thrones wouldn't have been quite as good. It's a fantastic series, but wouldn't have been quite as good without the amazing music that it had. And Star Wars is the exact same. John Williams and then the other composers that we've had as well. Just been absolutely fantastic. But what do you think? Do you think Williams quintessential, or...?
I think Williams is the quintessential. He is the greatest of all time, and I think anybody will come close to that. But the beauty of what Michael Giacchino did with Rogue One was that he created something that was familiar, yet at the same time managed to stand on its own 2 feet. Each and every number, there was maybe 2-3 bars of something that felt familiar, and then he branched off. So it was just those subtle, minute details again. And that's the difference with somebody who's good and somebody who is just at the top of their game. They know what's needed, and more importantly, where it's needed. Yeah,
I have to say he did an amazing work. But we're going to move on slightly, and to the reason that we're here today. We are in the RDS, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the Simmons Court. Would it be Arena?
Building 8.
Building 8, there you go. Building 8 in Simmons Court. And we're here for Comic-Con Ireland today. So fill the listeners in on exactly what we're here today. You are with the 501st Legion. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, I am one of the PR officers for the 501st Legion Ireland Garrison, and if you haven't heard of the 501st Legion, we are a worldwide all-volunteer organisation that devotes our time to helping charities and various causes raise money through our love and passion of Star Wars, and we build movie-accurate Star Wars costumes, so our costumes could pretty much be used as on-screen replicas, and particularly in Ireland, any Irish charity you could think of off the top of your head, chances are we have worked with them or been involved in fundraising with them. So
that's the main aim for the 501st is to help charities?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. We recently, to give an idea of the charities that we have raised money for, would be Pieta House and the Irish Cancer Society would be one of our big partners.
Fantastic causes, in fairness, are really good. I believe you've worked with Make-A-Wish as well.
Yes, we have worked with Make-A-Wish, and with a lot of those events we are lucky to have our friends and colleagues from the Rebel Legion Ireland as well, who always show up to give us hands. So I know I'm giving the rebel side a little bit of a shout out here as an Imperial. I probably shouldn't be, but it's nice to share the love.
I'd be an Imperial as well, so I don't particularly like those Rebel Legion guys. Oh, okay, yeah. We're getting heckled here. It's disgraceful. Bloody Legion, I tell you. So, what made you get into the 501st in the first place?
Well, I had always been sort of a fan of costuming in general. I'm a big comic book guy, and in particular, my love of costumes at first would have been extended to maybe the likes of Power Rangers and some of the Marvel characters outside of Star Wars, obviously. But my interest sort of peaked over time in that I would see the reaction of others, and I've always been quite good with my hands in that I could always build, construct, and weather things. Okay. And that sort of developed into more of a passion, and then it gradually grew into a hobby and something that I actually found that I could get involved with, whether it is through 501st, and obviously we are both members of the Emerald Garrison as well. Yeah. So for me, I think it was more a case of wanting to raise money for various causes, because we do work with some charities that are very close to my heart. Yeah. And, I mean, there is nothing better than seeing a child's face when somebody they might have seen on TV or in a comic book actually jump off screen and be there and be able to touch them and to interact with them.
I have to say, I agree with you there. The one thing for me is, whenever I did it, is to see the look on the kids' faces. Especially, seeing a Vader. And it's particularly, a lot of costumes out there, a lot of fantastic costumes. But I think for whenever they hear of the 501st or the Emerald Garrison and whatnot, and then as soon as they see a Vader, like, they're in awe of, oh my God, that's Darth Vader, and that's his stormtroopers, and there's the Emperor, and it kind of rolls from there, and people do love it. So let's talk a little bit about what costumes you have. What have you got?
So I've got a fair couple. I have Bridge Crew, then a couple of costumes in the Imperial Officer Corps, branching off then to TIE Pilot Reserve and a TIE Pilot. I have my Jawa, which is probably what I am most known for. He's a character in himself. He even has his own name, which is fantastic, and he was up to a bit of mischief today.
A lot of mischief over the last, say, few months, not only today, because I've seen videos of a certain Jawa going around and putting hands in bags. And
he's been arrested by the Gardaí as well, which is,
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say we do not condone the actions of said Jawa. So would he be your favourite? Would the Jawa be your favourite?
He would be my favourite to wear, in the sense that he is a character that I can completely get into, and when I am Jeremy the Jawa, I assume every power of my being, I become Jeremy the Jawa, up to mischief,
you become
having a bit of fun. I become the character, and that's part of it. It's storytelling in its purest form. And I mean, even today in my costume, which is monk's cloth and is very, very heavy, anybody who's seen it or anybody who's even felt it will realise the weight of it, I actually got up on the giant crocodile slide and did the obstacle course that's just outside of our dressing room here, and I scared the living bejesus out of two children who were cowering in the corner.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's about scaring kids at the end of the day. It's not about making money for charities or anything like that. And let's just scare the kids. Oh, well, and just as we're talking now, a Jawa has just walked past us. And The Legion is not just for adults. The entire family can get involved.
Absolutely. We do have family members and, parents and children. The children join the Galactic Academy when they are in their younger years, and then as they progress and reach the age of 17, 18, when they come to adult age, they move over then to 501st Legion membership. And we actually do have a couple of families here with us today who are full families, and they have been members of Galactic Academy and 501st Legion, which is fantastic.
It's fantastic to see, because, as I say, it's not just for adults. The entire family can get involved. And the fact that the kids will say they have fantastic movie accurate costumes as well. It's not just your typical, you buy that in the shop. That's what you can't do this with these costumes. You have to build them and construct them yourself. The fact that the parents are doing that for the kids is fantastic.
It's sensational, and I think they're doing it for themselves in a way, because we are so inclusive, and we are essentially like a family. Everybody chips in, and we do have what are called armour parties. So an armour party is where everyone can come together, and some people may have better skills than others. So if somebody is really good at sewing, if somebody has an issue with soft parts, they will take care of that. If somebody needs help, assembling a helmet kit, whether it's sanding, priming, painting decals, whatever the case may be. We all chip in and we give a hand, but mostly because it helps us improve our skills as well. And at the end of the day, we want to build the most accurate costumes that we can. Even for if I put somebody, say for the likes of myself, my weakest area would be pretty much painting and assembling, whereas the likes of weathering and putting soft parts together, I can do that no problem. So it is a constant learning curve, but at the end of the day, it produces the best product possible, which allows us to become our characters and tell the best stories that we can.
Well, that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? So if somebody wanted to join the 501st Legion, where would they go?
Well, if you see us at an event, you are more than welcome to come up and talk to any of us. We are always happy to answer questions. Alternatively, you can go to our website at 501st.ie and you can sign up and request to join our forums, where you can find all our members there, and we have different subsections for where discussions can be put in. So if you would like to just get involved, if you already have a costume or you're interested in building one. However, you actually technically don't need a costume to join. We are always looking for crew members. Crew members are very important to us in that the vast majority of our costumes, our mobility is extremely limited, but also our visibility can be quite poor. So having good crew there to watch out for any small people, any little childers running around. You know, the last thing you want is a 6'9" Vader walking at speed and there's a little child there underneath his field of vision that can't be seen. Yeah. But also to crew, to help us get dressed, get into our costume and make sure everything looks proper. And then, of course, as photographers, to take pictures for the public or any surprise photo ops which may come along later down the line.
Okay. So let's just before I let you go, Gerry, because I know you're very busy today, let's talk about your podcast. You have a podcast on the go now. It's something that you've been doing for a while now, took a little break, and now you're back again. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so I am part of the Star Wars podcast, Blab of the Hut. We are the number one Star Wars podcast in Ireland. It was originally started by a good friend of mine, Jamie Hickey, and then the likes of Kate the Bingo and myself gradually came on. And unfortunately, within the space of a while, all the members actually got new jobs. So life got in the way, so we had to take a little bit of a break. But we are lucky now that we are all settled into our new jobs and that we are able to record it. So the first episode of Blabba 2.0 went out a couple of weeks ago. Episode 2 is recorded and we're just finishing off the editing process. So it's myself and Kate taking over as the co-hosts. I'm sure Jamie will still be in and around at some point. But with respect to Blab It Hut, we cover everything from the comics to the movies to the TV shows. You name it, it's in Star Wars. We cover it. And also we're very, very blessed to have the likes of Penguin Random House Publishing behind us, and that we are lucky that we get to actually review the new Star Wars literature before it comes out. And we've been quite blessed with some of the opportunities that we've gotten in 2016 and 2017. I was part of the media team covering Star Wars Celebration, which is the biggest Star Wars convention in the world. I've been lucky to be part of the media team covering those events. So we are, I suppose, the number one source for Star Wars news here in Ireland. And our popularity has continually been growing. Obviously, we've taken a little bit of a sabbatical, but we are back now. And we seem to have taken on a lot of new members, and some of our older crowd are glad that we're back. So it's just a matter now of finding our identity and finding what works for us.
And if people want to listen to the podcast, where do they go?
People can listen to the podcast on pretty much any podcasting app that you can think of. We are on. The best place to go would essentially be Spotify. However, if you follow us on social media, we just put up a little list of the different areas that we can be found. We're still updating that at the moment, but they can follow us at Blab and Hut on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and they will be able to find the links there to listen to us.
Lovely. Gerry, thank you very much for appearing, and I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you go, but thank you very much.
Gerry, thank you so much, and best of luck with the podcast.
Thank you very much. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my talk with Gerry O'Toole about Star Wars and the 501st Legion and the Emerald Garrison here in Ireland. If you have any inclination that you wanted to get involved in that group, because as we say, it is a charity helping group. We go out and we help with Pieta House, we help with Make-A-Wish, and, it is all about putting a smile on children's faces, and of course about the bigger children, and of course that means the adults, because they love it just as much as we do. But if you're that way inclined, please visit the websites that Gerry mentioned and get signed up, because it really is for a good cause. I know a lot of people think, oh, they're just geeks, they're just nerds, but if you you're listening to Talk Nerdy to me, at the end of the day, you're probably a bit of a nerd if you're listening to me here. So at the end of the day, we do it for good causes. And it's for all, for the love of Star Wars and for by putting that smile on kids' faces. And I'll give you for an example. My son was there with me the other day, and he heard rather than seeing Darth Vader. And as soon as he turned around, and he could hear Darth Vader, and then he saw him. And of course, the Darth Vader from the 501st Legion is absolutely massive. Stands about 6'6", 6'7" tall. So he is a very intimidating person. But the children just love it, and the big, massive smiles, and all the kids, and the bigger kids' faces there at Comic-Con the other day was amazing. So please, if you are any way inclined, please get involved with the 501st or the Emerald Garrison or any costuming group next that would be near you. Because at the end of the day, we do it for charity. Absolutely, we get enjoyment out wearing those costumes. You better believe it. I am a big nerd at the end of the day. But we do it for charity, and it's a wonderful cause, or many, many wonderful causes. So please, if you can get involved, please do. But I hope you enjoyed that interview, and I hope you enjoyed the Rogue Comics interview as well. We do have another one coming up in August, and that's right at the start of August, and that's Dublin Comic Con Summer Edition. And hopefully I'm going to get a lot more interviews from that one. But, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this one. As I say, a bit of a strange one. I don't have Dave Bandana with me this week, but on the next show, Dave will be back. I'm not going to tell you why, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be talking about, but you'll just have to tune in and listen. So from Dave and myself, I've been Gerry, you've been Nerdy. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Good luck.